Hello and welcome to another episode of DCU Daily. And on today's episode, we are talking about Superman Legacy. And more specifically, we're talking about a new villain that James Gunn just officially announced has been cast for Superman Legacy. And the actor's name is Maria Gabriela de Faria. I think I'm saying that correctly. You guys let me know in the comments if I got that wrong. Um, and and John, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this casting, the engineer, which being completely honest, the first time I heard about this, not knowing that the engineer is part of the authority in the comics, like in my head, I was imagining, that episode of Suit Life of Zack and Cody, where like, Mr. Mosby, Arwen, and Esteban are like the villains, and then Zack and Cody are like heroes, and they're like, "What is your name?" I am the engineer, and like that's what went off in my mind. So it took me a little like I read the article. I think the article was on Deadline, and then yeah, I was like, oh, the characters. It's a really cool character. So like, yeah, I'd love to like know more about it. Like, what can you tell us?
The only thing I really know about I'm not because well the thing is the Authority is a Wildstorm creation and Wildstorm is kind of a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I did do some research and she as we said she's a part of the new version of the Authority, which was introduced in I believe it was the late 90s in the Authority number one, and there was a previous engineer, but he was like killed really quickly. So Angela Spica is the second engineer, and her power is that she has a liquid body due to nanites in her bloodstream, and with this she can create solid objects. Think the T-1000 from Terminator 2. That's essentially what it is. That's the closest thing I could think. But yeah, she is part of the Authority, and with her casting, it looks like that it's been rumblings and tumblings that the Authority is going to be the villains of Superman Legacy, but I feel like with this casting, because they did mention in all the articles that it is for Superman Legacy. It's not just for the Authority film that's coming out after Superman Legacy. So it looks like that because I know there were rumors that Lex Luthor was going to be the villain yet again. I know there's rumors that Brainiac might be
Yeah.
like the head honcho villain, but it feels like with this casting that the Authority is going to be the villains here. Maybe not villains, but more antagonists, because the Authority is kind of more in that like kind of like the boys kind of seven type of thing, where they're not like totally villains but they're not like totally heroes. They ride that line of like anti-heroism. So it looks like that when you have like the lawful good of Superman and then the chaotic good of the Authority, like kind of duking it out, I think that's going to be really interesting and will like sort of shoot this version of Superman into stardom, because I believe Gunn did mention that this is going to be a very early Superman. He's a year two Superman. So this will be like sort of his big like claim to fame of like being the hero we all know and love. And I think that's really interesting. And it's different. It's not just Lex Luthor again. It's not just General Zod again. It's actually something interesting. And we'll know more about them with their spin-off film, whether that take place before or after Superman Legacy. So I'm definitely intrigued and I'm liking, and I don't know this actress very well. I believe one of her biggest claims to fame is Deadly Class. I've never really heard of it, so I don't know her as an actress, but I know David Corenswet, I know Rachel Brosnahan, and those are really good actors for their attributed roles. So I think Gunn is probably doing something right. So I feel like she's probably the best person for the role. So, I think
Yeah.
I trust that he's made a good decision in terms of casting, and it's definitely, different. So,
Yeah, and then I mean she's got some experience working in like, comedies and stuff. We've got the article from Deadline on screen, and not only is she obviously like really beautiful person, like this Venezuelan actress who's been known for stuff on Fox, like she was in Animal Control, the Moody's, and you mentioned what was the other show that you mentioned? Was it a movie or a show that you mentioned?
I believe it was a show, Deadly Class.
Deadly Class. I swear to God, I feel like I've heard that before, like whenever it was around, because I remember watching a trailer for it. I don't think I ever really got into it, but yeah, it definitely feels like, we're going in a very different direction with regards to a Superman villain, like, than what we have seen ever since the 1978, Superman Christopher Reeves. It's like you always have the usual suspects of people like you've got Zod, so other Kryptonian villains. You usually get, of course, Lex Luthor. That's like a go-to. And I think finally, yeah, you're right. The one thing that I did want to ask you here is, does this mean we're kind of starting out this new DCU sort of in like a almost this futuristic environment? Like, I know that the MCU sort of started originally with Iron Man and like it was very gritty, grounded, like felt like, a very lived in world that was almost parallel to ours. But then like as Iron Man develops his technology, slowly it feels like, by the time we get to Avengers Age of Ultron, Hawkeye is getting like these futuristic skin grafts while they're flying across the world, and he, all of a sudden he's all healed up over the course of like an 8 hour flight after like getting basically a hole like punched into his body. So it was a huge jump. So like I do wonder because if you're going by that Terminator reference, like from Judgment Day, like if that's what this character is the Authority like always meant to be like this futuristic? Do they come from the future? Because I'm like I have not got a lot of background in terms of like what the Authority is, and I'm probably in line with the average moviegoer and thinking that like who are the Authority? Are they from the future? Are they alien? Are they from the past? Like, and then what does that say about the where the world of the DCU is when we first join it when Superman Legacy? Like, can you give us a little more insight into like what James Gunn might be thinking here?
Now with the Authority, they're not like time travelers or aliens. They're just a lot of them are mysterious characters because I know Apollo and Midnighter are the ones that a lot of people know. Like those are like those are the big cultists that a lot of people really like. So they're just mysterious. A lot of them don't have like a big illustrious backstory. They're just like these are the characters and these are who they are. But I know that it takes place in the then present, which was the late 90s. I believe again if because again, I'm with you. The Authority is kind of a little bit it's the Wildstorm universe. I don't really know a lot about the Wildstorm universe, unfortunately. So I know there will be YouTube comments that will be correcting both of us. So I will wait for that, but I'm from what little I do know, I believe they take place in the then present, or at least like maybe a couple years into the future. But yeah, they're mostly just like this mysterious like anti-hero group that's like willing to kill if need be, willing to do anything they can to like keep the peace, type of thing.
Yeah, they're
So I
like an
feel like
ends justify the means sort
yeah,
of
the
a
ends justify the means type of thing. And I feel like
character.
that's definitely, as I was saying, very different. And I'm definitely intrigued with what is planned, and maybe not just one Authority movie, but like multiple, maybe a TV show, maybe something like because I know the Authority was birthed from Stormwatch, which I know was another like kind of fan favorite comic book back in the day. But yeah, it definitely seems very different with what James Gunn is going for, and I do appreciate that very much. So whether that be good or bad, at
Yeah.
least it's different.
And to me, that's the most exciting part about this whole, casting. And then again, what we have seen already, like with already a Green Lantern, not maybe the two most popular ones, but Green Lantern, played by Nathan Fillion. He's going to be in here. We're going to have Metamorpho. What was the other character that I'm forgetting that they cast?
Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl were the other
Hawker.
ones.
Yeah, yeah, Hawker. So we've already got some like members of the Justice League or would be Justice League already in here, and of course now we're getting the Engineer. We might get some of the other members of the Authority in here as well, and definitely while there is a risk that this movie could be overstuffed. I feel like under James Gunn's guidance and with this kind of stories he's already been telling, whether it's his first Guardians of the Galaxy movie all the way to the third one, it seemed that they added more and more significant characters, but he was able to kind of keep things grounded in like the core characters of the movie. Like if you ask most people, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is all about Rocket and Peter Quill's like journey to kind of recover from just losing Nebula, and then the new one, the Nebula that is there now not being the same one that he fell in love with. But if you watch the movie, there's like 100 other things going on. So I think James Gunn has the ability to sort of condense this down into a cohesive story, which I'm looking forward to seeing. And I'm sure we're gonna get more casting announcements, and I can't wait to now start seeing like costume designs and stuff. Like I think they did a fantastic job over with Matt Reeves and the Batman by releasing like all of the it's become tradition at this point. Like, okay, what does the Batmobile look like? What does the suit look like? And stuff like that. But not only does that like create hype, but I think that's your marketing campaign. You're putting butts in seats starting from like the announcement of what the costume looks like. And I think that's something Marvel has been great at, like that they do their logos and everything. We aren't that far along yet, but I hope that now that the strike is over, the movie's going to go into production in the spring of 2024. I hope that we'll start to get more announcements like this, and we can really get the ball rolling down the hill, because it's picking up momentum. And every time they announce a new casting, while it does come with a little bit of hesitancy that we're adding a lot of characters in this movie, because you may still get a Lex Luthor. For all we know, there may be a special Lobo appearance, who knows? But like, as long as we get a great Superman, and we get a world, like a DC world that feels like the world that I think I personally grew up loving, the Justice League animated shows. If that's the kind of world that we're getting into from day one, then that'd be amazing. So guys, let us know in the comments below what you think about this casting of the Engineer, being played by Maria Gabriela de Faria in Superman Legacy. Are you a fan of the casting? Are you looking forward to seeing what the Engineer and the Authority brings to the world of DC? I don't think we've ever seen that on screen before, these set of characters crossing paths. And if you are not a fan, let us know. If you are a fan, let us know. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and we will be giving you these updates and so much more, everything DC and DCU related in the weeks, months, and years to come.